Welcome and good evening to the Lewiston City Council regular meeting for Monday, February 25th, 2013. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. First item of business is a Pledge of Allegiance. We'll be led in the pledge by Cub Scout Pack 645.
Scout attention. Scout salute. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Two.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for doing that for this evening. And their Cub Scout leader is Dodie Robbins, who, her day job, I hear, is she's a dispatcher for a police department. So thank you, Dodie. Next item of business is citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the council on agenda items or other items you wish to bring to the attention of council. Citizens are encouraged to discuss operational issues in advance with the city manager. In consideration of others wishing to speak, we'd ask you to try to limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Are there any citizens' comments this evening? Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. Doug Havens, 3513 22nd Street. Got quite a crowd here tonight. I'll try not to take too much of your time. A few days ago, there was a meeting down at the Bell Building from a group called Strong Towns. They have a website, strongtowns.org. I wish more of the council members could have attended that. Council member Daniels was there. It was a good meeting. They talked about what can be done to finance growth in cities and how all growth isn't necessarily good growth, and how a city can get in a lot of trouble about not managing the way that they grow. I thought it was very informative. I just bring that up because a question was asked about parking, and it kind of jogged my memory about something I'd been hearing about, and I thought it'd be a good chance to come down and talk to the council about it. And so there's nothing really on your agenda I want to talk about. I'm going to refer to the minutes of your work session in the first part of this month, where the transit annual report was given, and about the transit system that the city operates and what a success that's been, and it has been a success. I mean, the increases in ridership and has just been phenomenal, and I think you've got a good person as executive director or whatever her title is running that operation, so I congratulate you for that appointment. She's really done an outstanding job. That service is housed in a building that was purchased a few years ago. The council, using tax dollars, got an exceptional buy on that building. Such a good deal that even the county assessor was scratching his head how we could have purchased that building for the cost that we did, for the price that we did. And it solved just numerous problems. Overcrowding at City Hall, we moved Public Works down to that building. Combining Public Works with community development, solving the issue of people running back and forth across town trying to get their building plans approved. We also found a home for the transit system, which the city had just recently then taken over. And the caveat was that we got a parking lot to boot, a place to park the transit buses and parking for city vehicles, which is quite an issue down in that end of town. Now, I've been hearing that there's some talk going on about donating that parking lot away or leasing it for $1 a year or something to that effect. And so I don't think the council has spoke about it in a meeting, but I've been hearing some committee meetings or some talk behind the scenes has been going on. Now, nothing against the capital group that meets, that's working on the former old territorial capital project and construction of that and a new location for it. That's a good group of people. In fact, I think I'm related to one of the guys that is on that committee. They're a good group. It's a good project. Nothing against them. But the talk about giving away a parking lot that was purchased for a specific reason to locate this building that was just recently constructed, I don't think makes any sense at all. You're creating a problem where none exists right now, or a smaller problem exists. I think you do have a problem with city vehicles being parked down in that area. It's overcrowding what little street parking there is. And I know you've taken some steps to try and alleviate that, but I don't think if the museum group, their name escapes me now, but that facility that they use for the museum and their parking lot, if they didn't lease parking to the city, you'd have even more vehicles on the street. So the idea that you're going to give up parking, not just for city vehicles, but for the transit buses and move the buses back down to the community center, that's the problem we were trying to fix. So the drivers didn't have to check in, in one building, drive across town to get their buses, park them there at night, drive all the way back across town to punch out. You're creating a problem that we solved a long time ago, all to house a building. Now, I know it's close to the original spot, and I know there's some desire to get it on the original spot, and this is as close as you can get for the time being, but it creates more of a problem than I really think you should create. I would not be in favor of it. I think it's a good group. They're just going to have to keep looking elsewhere for a permanent location. And when it reaches the council level for discussion, we'll probably have another discussion about it too. But thanks for hearing me tonight.
Any other citizens' comments this evening? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to next item, presentations and public hearings. First item of business is the fiscal year 2012 audit presentations by Presnell Gage. Mr. Bennett or Mr. Marsh, was you going to introduce this? Or?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. The council met earlier this afternoon with our auditing firm, Presnell Gage, to receive the comprehensive financial statements for the city and to review their findings from this last year's audit. And this evening they are here to answer any questions that you may have and make a brief presentation. And at the conclusion of that, we will be requesting that the audit be accepted by motion by the council.
Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for having us here tonight. I'm Donnella Verde. I'm the audit manager with Presnell Gage, and with me is Mitch Marks. He's the engagement partner at Presnell Gage.
Don, for the record, yes. Could you state Presnell Gage's address too, please?
1216 Idaho Street.
Okay, thank you.
That must have been my test. I'm here tonight to formally present to the council the audit for September 30, 2012. We did meet earlier today in work session and went over the financial statement in detail. And tonight is just a formal presentation of the comprehensive annual financial report. Presnell Gage has performed the audit in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America. Under those standards, it is the objective of the audit to obtain reasonable but not absolute assurance about whether the financial statements are free of material misstatement. Basically, the financial statements and the information reported within the CAFR is the responsibility of management and the council, and Presnell Gage is responsible for issuing the opinions on the information provided after when the audit is completed. There's a number of opinions in the financial statements or in the financial report. We issued an opinion indicating the city's financial statements with regard to government activities, business type activities, the component unit in each major fund, and the aggregate of remaining funds fairly present in all material respects as an unqualified opinion or clean opinion. Another report listed in the financial statements is during our audit, we considered the city's internal control processes over financial reporting and determined that they have procedures in place to account for the city's funds. And a clean opinion is also issued with no findings on that report as well. We audited the city's compliance with state and federal regulations, along with the internal controls over these compliance requirements with regards to federally funded major programs. A clean report with no findings is issued on that as well. So if there is no questions, we formally request the council's authorization to release the audit final presentation and accept it as presented.
Okay. Any questions from council of the auditors?
Mr. Mayor, just a comment.
Councillor
I appreciate the presentation that we received this afternoon in the audit presentation session. I think it was refreshing to see that many of the items that we've talked about over the last 4 or 5 years have in fact been addressed and addressed well. That was comforting, and I think the book should be very clear to a lot of people. I think that's done well. Thank you for working through the transition system with Dan Marsh and his group of especially the two ladies who work nonstop with that. We know that there are others, but I'm grateful. It was certainly clear and easy to understand.
I think that with the conversion of the new accounting system and that, and to have a clean audit with that going on, it's not completely done yet, but we're on schedule to what we had originally planned, and that I think that speaks highly of staff and the planning and the type of system that we're actually implementing for the city. So I was really encouraged to see that. If there's any other comments, I'll entertain a motion to accept the audit as presented.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to accept the audit as presented. Is there any discussion on the motion? Councillor Kleber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry I couldn't make it to the audit presentation this afternoon, so I feel that I probably ought to abstain.
You're able to get the material and read through the
That's
audit?
correct.
Yeah, okay. I think that's probably the big thing is from the auditors, we have a clean audit report.
Mr. Mayor, we might note that the councilors who are on the phone have participated in the audit committee.
Yes, Councillor Stevenson is a member of the audit committee, as well as Councillor Randall. So, okay, with that, any other discussion on the motion on the floor? So, you be voting, or are you going to abstain?
I'll abstain.
Abstain, okay. Those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0 with Councillor Kleberg abstaining. Thank you. Next item of business is the consent agenda. Is there any items on the consent agenda the council wishes to pull put on the active agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to read the consent agenda.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to read the consent agenda. Is there any discussion from council? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed,
Aye.
those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Approving the City Council meeting minutes of the February 4th, 2013 work session and the February 11th, 2013 regular meeting. Accepting the minutes of the January 16th, 2013 Parks and Recreation Commission. And approving the vouchers payables for February 1, 2013 through February 14th, 2013 in the amount of $2,179,412.68. And this excludes payments to Han Rental, Han Supply, and Albertsons.
Okay, the consent agenda has been read. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as read. Is there any discussion by council? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. We'll move on to the active agenda. First item is Resolution 2013. I'll entertain a motion to read Resolution 2013-5.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to read Resolution 2013-5. Is there any discussion from council? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Approving Resolution 2013-5 by title only. A resolution approving an agreement between the City of Lewiston and Idaho Municipal Corporation and the National Joint Powers Alliance, a corporation duly organized under the laws of the state of Minnesota, which provides a member-based government purchasing cooperative, authorizing and directing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest, respectively, said agreement and providing an effective date.
Okay, Resolution 2013-5 has been read. I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2013-5.
Mr. Mayor.
So moved.
Okay. Councillor Randall has moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been seconded by Councillor Ortman. Any discussion by council? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Next item of business is library shelving purchase from Space Saver Northwest. I'll entertain a motion to approve the library shelving purchase.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the library shelving purchase from Space Saver Northwest, Spokane, Washington. That was contingent upon the resolution that we just passed, and I believe we've done that successfully, so I would move that we make that purchase.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion from council? Councillor Wren.
What kind of savings are we expecting?
It's a good question. I was going to ask that myself. Councillor Daniel. Mr. Bennett?
Well, if you refer to the staff report that was prepared by Joy Schwank, our purchasing coordinator, the amount of the contract is $88,775. I do not know the exact amount of the savings, so I'm not sure if that is information that we have right now. Do we have any information on that at this point? No, so I don't know the exact amount of the savings. But the reason that, of course, we joined this group was to be able to realize the additional purchasing power that we would get from being a member of such an organization, like we did with the Houston Galveston group and when we purchased the fire truck. So unfortunately, our library director had to meet with the Library Foundation this evening. She couldn't be here. She may be here later, though, after she's finished there, and perhaps she can give us an answer at that time.
Mr. Bennett, I had a question on the process. I don't know if you or Ms. Schwank could answer it. We've joined this Purchasing Joint Powers Alliance, which a lot of cities and counties do, because there is some savings to be recognized to your purchasing power. Is there a process that we do to go check to make sure we are getting a low responsive price? Is there a call for quotations, or is there a process that we do that to verify that?
Yeah.
I think Drew would have to answer that question. I can tell you the process of joining, but.
Mayor and council members, I'm Joy Schwank. I'm the purchasing coordinator for the City of Lewiston. Typically, the people using these contracts are able to have another bid that they can compare the cost to. I asked Alexa to provide that. She didn't do so, but our IT manager has looked at the contracts, and he is looking at one right now that would save the city over $3,000 off the state contract even. So I think there is savings there. It's just really hard when you're having services and items to get a apples to apples comparison, because this firm, the Space Savers Northwest, they are also providing design services to make shelving and stuff that's compatible with what's going into the new library already and what we have, the older stuff that we already have.
Okay, so a lot of the existing shelving that we have in the library is made by Space Savers also?
Well, some of the in the new library, what they have in there, Space Saver is able to design things that can fit, and be compatible, match the coloring and all that. And then she plans to still use some of our existing shelving that's in the old library that they're able to also do that. And there are probably other providers that can, but this one happens to be in Spokane. They're very close.
Okay.
So.
Any other questions? Councillor Daniel?
Yes.
Councillor Randall?
My question is, on September, the library board's minutes said that they had set aside $441,000 for furnishings, computers, and moving expenses. And that currently, at that time, in September, they only had $250,000 available. With that $1 million donation by Mr. Schweitzer, have we made up that difference? And is that, are we buying those shelves out of that fund?
Well, I can say that the funding for this particular purchase is contained within the library building fund, and specifically in the portion of the fund that's set aside for fixtures, furnishing, and equipment. Whether or not part of the gift from Dr. Schweitzer, will be used to backfill any shortfall in furnishings and furniture and equipment. I don't know that that's been decided at this point. A large portion of that gift is going to go toward, of course, the advanced and improved technology that's going to serve the facility. Again, that's a question that the library director can probably answer, and perhaps, she can do that when she comes later tonight.
Okay. Councillor Daniel.
I don't have any more questions, so I don't know if anybody else does. I was actually prepared to vote for this tonight, but I actually do have a few more. I would like to know what we are actually saving by doing this, and I thought our library director was going to be here. I understand she couldn't make it, but do we have to do this tonight, or could we wait? Could we move it towards the end of the agenda and give her a chance to show up?
We could table it till the end of the agenda if that's the wish of the council, to give the library director time to maybe show up, and then at that time we can decide if we want to approve the purchase in, or if we want to table it till the next council meeting. It'd be whatever council wishes to do, whatever you're comfortable with.
There is a timing issue in terms of trying to get the library open.
Okay.
But
as I understand it, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, there is some difficulty with timing. They want to get the shelving in by May, I think, and in order to do that, they need to start the process as soon as possible. But that's just what I understand. You'd have to ask the library director for sure.
And I appreciate that, but I think it's also incumbent on the director to make sure that we have some of this information here, that the questions, try to anticipate what the council will have. Myself, I'm a little surprised that the information wasn't supplied to the purchasing director, or coordinator. So, Councillor Cleaver.
I know we typically don't like to make business decisions at work session. We do have a work session next Monday, and I would like some of this information. I think it would go a long ways towards, maybe calming people's fears, or if we are getting a good deal, we don't at this time know how much of a good deal we're getting, and I'm very uncomfortable with this. 1 week, to me, I understand that they're wanting to get going, and it's time sensitive, but I don't think 1 week's going to be.
She's intending to be here, so we can hold it till the end of the meeting.
If
the meetings are at the same time is the problem.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to table the awarding of the shelving purchase, item B, to the end of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second to table the library shelving purchase to the end of the meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. We'll move on to vouchers payable. Approving the Han Rental, Han Supply vouchers payable dated February 1st, 2013 through February 14th, 2013 in the amount of $1,095.22. I'll entertain a motion to approve vouchers payable to Han Rentals, Han Supply, with Councillor Kleberg abstaining due to conflict of interest.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Councillor Randall, seconded by Councillor Stevenson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0 with Councillor Kleberg abstaining. Next item of business is vouchers payable, approving the Albertsons vouchers payable dated February 1st, 2013 through February 14th, 2013 in the amount of $99.72. I'll entertain a motion to approve the vouchers payable to Albertsons. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Councillor Kleberg, a motion by Councillor Randall, and I'll assume that Councillor Daniel will be abstaining due to conflict of interest. So with that, any discussion by council? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0 with Councillor Daniel abstaining. We'll move on to unfinished and new business. Is there any city councillor comments this evening?
Where I have two comments this evening.
Councillor Ortman.
Well, maybe three. Sorry about that. Last week we had the privilege of attending, various councillors had privileges of attending different events. We weren't all necessarily at the same one. There were a couple I'd like to highlight as having been important, or I think they are important for the future of the community as well. One of them was the 45th annual meeting of the CETA group, the Clearwater Economic Development Association. One of the founders of that group, Dr. Marion Shin, was honored at that meeting, and he's former mayor of Lewiston and the father of vocational technical education at Lewis Clark State College. We're pleased that he was honored at that event. That event underscored the whole topic of regionalism and the fact that it's very difficult for cities, counties to operate independently, especially in the world of the economic market, and that many of the things when dealing with the funding that comes from the federal government needs to be done regionally. And that was done particularly well by that group. Congratulations to Christine Fry and to her crew for putting on a very successful, very, very well-attended event. There were officials from Washington, D.C., officials from the state there. It was full house and a good event, to say the least. The second one is that I know that Councillor Cannon and I both had a chance to attend the Price is Right event along with our city manager and his family this last week at a downtown venue. It was great, sponsored by beautiful downtown Lewiston. It was a great atmosphere. People were happy, and that once again underscored the cooperation level of all of the volunteers and those who are members of that association for the improvement of downtown. It's good to get into buildings where we haven't been before to see how people are renovating and doing a really great job in downtown Lewiston. So highly respectful of that. Just wanted to remind people that there is a major event for the Civic Theater. This event only holds about 100 to 125 people, so it's you need to get your tickets relatively soon, but for $25 a piece. The Civic Theater is sponsoring the Fine Arts Ball. It's not a fine arts ball as such this year. It has a very different program. There are a lot of, the people there are in fact doing imitations of famous acts. Looks like it's going to be a fun event at the Lewis Clark Plaza, and encourage people to attend.
Councillor Ortman, when is that date again?
It's March 2nd, Saturday.
Okay, thank you. Is that all the items you have this evening?
I could go on, but I think you would rather I'd stop for a while. Thanks.
Okay. I have two. I'm pleased to announce that the Disabled Veterans and its auxiliary is holding its annual convention this year in Lewiston, May 2nd through May 4th at the Red Lion Hotel. I'll have an opening ceremony on May 2nd at 9 a.m. that council, you're invited to attend if you have time. So anyway, I'm excited to see that we're bringing the folks in from all over the state to see our great city. And Ivan Ulmer is the chair of that event. Next item of business, I brought it up last meeting, but the American Legion Post 13 is having a chili contest. It's to raise money for youth programs, including their American Legion baseball, Boys and Girls State, and their oratorical program and youth scholarship programs. And it's a $15 entry fee. They're going to have prizes for the top 3 that are voted in. And I was looking at it's at the Lewiston Center Mall, March 23rd from 10 till 2. So anyway, maybe mark that on your calendars. And I know there's probably some guys from the fire department that'll, I think last time they took it too. So anyway, get your chili recipes going. So with that, is there any other city councilor comments this evening?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Randall.
Yes, there was a very important meeting about the water resources for Lewiston area on the 12th, talking about wells outside of the city. And there was a lot of shallow wells going dry, East Lewiston and down in the Tammany area. And I think that maybe the city should get together with the county and have a talk about the water tables and the potential effect it may have on the expansion of the city of Lewiston.
Yeah, we could try to schedule a meeting with the county. We seem to have problems. We can schedule meetings, but seems to having them hold the meeting seems to be a challenge. Councillor Kleber.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Councilor Randall. Thanks for bringing that up because I attended the meeting. And actually, the folks from the Idaho Department of Water Resources are actually trying to form a focus group, if you will. I know they're looking for somebody from Lloyd. I know they'd like somebody from the county. I didn't specifically mention the city, but this is not necessarily just Tammany Creek area problem. There are wells out there in the East Orchards that are in the city limits that are suffering the same fate. And I think what they're really trying to do is initially trying to get people signed up to where we can get some more monitoring points. Currently, they have about 12 to 14 wells that they're monitoring right now down in the Tammany Creek area. And of course, there was a new well put in 2 years ago at the rodeo grounds. And, you know, of course, there's some suspicion on some people's parts that maybe that's playing a part in drawing down some of the aquifer. It was very interesting to see Dale Ralston, who used to be with the Idaho Geologic Survey, had quite a bit of historical data, if you will, as far as the graphing of these test wells that they're able to access through the kindness of the people that have them up there. And there is a decline going on out there, some more so than others. And this is a big deal, you know, and it will affect the area's city impact on down the road. So I would encourage, and Mr. Bennett, I don't know if you had any follow-up with the folks from that meeting. I know you were there. But it probably would behoove us to have somebody from, whether it's Public Works or Mr. Kaufman or somebody, contacting that group. And they're looking for some private people, you know, landowners and stuff like that, as well as some of the professionals in the area. That being said, this is going to be an ongoing, long-term initiative, and if they do choose to expand the Lindsay Creek watershed to include the Tammany Creek area and actually further south than the Tammany Creek area, it might have some impacts on future growth in our area. So thanks for bringing that up, Jed. I appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Bennett.
Just, I can comment that I think one of the reasons that our last meeting with the county to begin some additional discussions on the area of city impact was postponed was due to this issue here, because a large number of the lands that lie within the city's area of city impact are potentially affected by the Lindsay Creek groundwater management area. And so I think the thought was we wanted to hear what the Idaho Department of Water Resources had to say on the issue, and that will probably figure prominently into those discussions that we have with the county on the area of city impact.
Any other city councilor comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Stevenson.
Well, it's interesting, Councilor Randall, that you should bring that topic up, because right before I was getting ready for the meeting this evening, the department and several people interested in the water resources conversation, many of whom had been at that meeting or in the meetings around the area, were here talking, getting ready to have an informal discussion. I was gone by the time they were done, but it's a hot topic. Recharging the aquifers, how to deal with our water resources. So I'm glad you brought it up.
Thank you.
Now, tomorrow, two things that are happening down here in Boise, the professional firefighters are going to be here, and also the Fraternal Order of Police. So I'm hoping to see some of the folks from Lewiston, perhaps. The last I heard, the bagpipers, not necessarily the Lewiston group, but in general, the firefighting bagpipers were going to be playing in the rotunda. So I'm looking forward to hearing that. I hope they are.
Okay. Any other city councilor comments this evening? Mr. Bennett, any city manager comments this evening?
I just wanted to comment on an event that happened last week as well, the annual Soup Bowl at the YWCA. What a tremendous event. The lines were outside the doors, way down Main Street for folks waiting to get in. You know, a great fundraiser for the YWCA. A lot of people in the community also donated their time to go in advance and hand paint all of the bowls that were given out to those that participated in the event. Some great soups this year, and I'll have to say, in this humble person's opinion, the Tuscan soup that was prepared by the Lewiston Fire Department was by far the best soup of the day, even though they did not take the prestigious Soup Bowl trophy away. But it was a great event, and I look forward to participating in that again next year.
Okay. Any other comments this evening, Mr. Bennett?
No, that's all.
Okay. Advisory Board and Commission appointments. Councillor Daniel.
I'd like to reappoint Mark Riedinger to the Transportation Advisory Commission.
Okay. The recommendation from the subcommittee is to reappoint Mark Riedinger to the Transportation Advisory Committee. Those in favor of that appointment say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Appointment stands 7-0. Pro Tem Cannon.
Mr. Mayor, last week we held interviews for a position on the URA board due to the election of Bob Tippett to the county commissioner seat. It was a citizen-at-large seat, We interviewed 2 individuals, and it was a consensus. Joanne Cole-Hansen be appointed to the URA board. So I'd bring that recommendation forward for council approval.
So it's Joanne who?
Cole-Hansen.
Cole-Hansen?
Yeah, she's right there.
That's her, okay. So the recommendation from the subcommittee is to appoint Joanne Cole-Hansen to the URA board. Those in favor of that recommendation say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Recommendation stands 7-0.
Thanks, Joanne.
Councillor Kleber.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I would offer the name of Shirley Phillips to be appointed to the Urban Forestry and Cemetery Commission. Interviewed her this weekend, and she's enthusiastic.
So the recommendation from the subcommittee is to appoint Shirley Phillips to the Urban
Forestry and Cemetery
Committee. I'll entertain, so those in favor of that recommendation say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That appointment stands 7-0. Any other advisory board and commission appointments this evening? Okay. Work session agenda topics. Do we have any additional work session agenda topics this evening? I think we have a full slate moving forward. So what we'll do is I'll entertain a motion to bring the library shelving purchase off the table.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we bring the library purchasing motion off the table.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to pull the library shelving purchase off the table. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. We have some questions. Yes, please. One of the questions, Alexa, is the amount of savings that the city will see versus going out and purchasing the shelving from some other manufacturer over the $88,775. Could you fill us in on that?
I'd love to. I'd also like to introduce a guest that I have with me. This is Dean Smith from Space Saver, and I'll have him.
Basically on the contract, and I got to check my the details with my corporate office, but it's typically around 52% off list price. It's based on tiers, on list price off on our shelving. But more than that on the contract, what I presented to Alexa was the fact that we try to use these contracts. They've been competitively bid already in the state of Minnesota. So we try to use these contracts so we can eliminate the bid process for her and having to go out and get 3 or 4 bids from various vendors. And as you know, you might get low bid on some of those particular bids, but the process of going through that is more time consuming and more costly in the long run. Mm-hmm. We've done this at the University of Idaho. They've approved this contract. I've done probably $300,000 or $400,000 with business with those guys. Local installations on different that I've had here in Lewiston are Nez Perce County Detention Center. I've done the public health building here downtown. I've done LCSC Science Building. I've got some references.
No, I don't think your reference or your capabilities, your product is in question as much as the comparative justification for using Space Savers versus Brand X for that, and how you'd come up with that comparative, what the comparatives were, so that we have some idea of what the savings we would net going through
and I
this
can
process.
provide a spreadsheet through the contract. That's in the NJPA contract. Well, if we need to provide a spreadsheet with list price based on discounts, I can provide that.
I just wanted to add that in the packet I had a memo as well and outlined some of the advantages of using Space Saver. Primarily, there are only about 2 large shelving manufacturers in the United States currently. Our current shelving is approximately 30 years, and the manufacturers of those shelves no longer are in business. Through process and elimination. We've identified that Space Saver shelving is compatible, so those shelves will be able to be a component so that we can utilize some of our current shelving. As well as Space Saver has a regional representation. The other manufacturer is back east.
As part of your function, I see that you've listed that Space Saver Northwest has Idaho Contractor's License registration also. Does that mean they're going to be doing some installation work in the facility here as well?
Not as much installation as far as case. We'll do some anchoring to the shelving. We'll build the shelving on site, but as far as attaching to the building itself, we'll just anchor to the floor for seismic purpose, make sure it doesn't fall over. Mm-hmm. But as far as casework and actual building process, no.
Just more of the shelving.
Just the shelving
of your installation. Okay.
What kind of is there a warranty that your company?
Yeah, we have a lifetime warranty on the structural integrity of the shell, and then a 5-year parts, and then a 1-year parts and labor. So if it makes a difference, Space Saver's got more installations in the USA over all our competitors combined. So I mean, we do a lot at WSU, a ton at University of Idaho, all across the Puget Sound area as well. So.
Councillor Kleber, do you have any additional questions?
No, thank you.
Councillor Stevenson or Randall, you had some concerns. Do you have any other questions for the director of the library?
No questions.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, just make sure that you said that some of the older shelving that we have in our present library can be compatible with this shelving.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge in itself, that it can work with that. So there'll be savings on top of that we don't have to go buy all new shelving. So
yeah, we made sure that the width on the 36-inch wide shelf is pretty typical for a library shelving. It was within a 1/16 of an inch.
Okay. So. Great. Thank you.
Councillor Ortman.
Mr. Mayor, just for the record then, if you'd provide that basic information so that it's in the, Joy said that she didn't have that information in her office, it'd be just good to have it on record so that we know what.
Okay, absolutely. I'll make sure that happens.
That's basically your comparative information. Yeah, your comparative justification for the cost savings.
Okay.
Councillor Daniel.
I don't have any more questions. I just have a comment. I would still like to see the spreadsheet before we vote. I mean, that was the whole point of putting this off until now, was so we could hear about the comparisons. And so I would really appreciate if we could at least wait until we got that spreadsheet. I mean, it sounds like Monday is an option. It's not that far. It'd put the library back 1 week. I thought that was the whole point of us moving this agenda item. So.
Okay. Is there,
Mr. Mayor, it appears that we don't have, what do we have to compare it with?
I would just say that, I did a lot of research in terms of cutting down our current shelving, repurposing. There has been quite a bit of research. I really do feel like this is the most cost-effective solution for us in moving forward. But as I said, there are only 2 large shelving manufacturers currently. So it's a limited pool to begin with.
And you've compared those two.
And Space Saver is, as Dean mentioned, clearly the largest. And in terms of replacement, if we do need additional shelves in the future, we do have expansion for upstairs, depending on our collection capacity for upstairs. I would feel more confident moving forward with a shelving manufacturer that has a long history and is so robust fiscally. So that would be my other preference as well.
I think, go ahead, okay. Councillor Daniel.
Okay, yeah, I guess that still goes back to my point, though. I'm sure I'd end up voting for this. I would just like to see the information to justify it. It's not, if this was $50 for a new printer, that'd be one thing, but this is $100,000. I'd like to see some numbers that actually compare. Apparently, it's a small pool. I'd like to see some numbers from that other pool, that other fish in the pool, I guess. So. Like I said, I came here expecting to hear some comparisons, and I was prepared to vote for this. I truly was. I understand, I wasn't the biggest proponent of the library, but I understand it's going forward now. I understand, I don't want to be a part of that, but I want to be responsible in doing that. So I'm still requesting that we put this off until Monday.
Mr. Mayor?
Pro Tem Kennedy.
If we did not approve the piece of legislation before this, how much do you think those shelves would have cost us? $140,000?
It's significant.
As far as the difference between the contract?
Yeah.
I think we're at 88,000. My guess would be maybe 15 to 20%. I'd have to go look at their spreadsheet.
15 to 20% more? It's another $16,000 to $20,000.
I think that one of the approving the agreement for the National Joint Powers Alliance helps going through the vetting process, and that's one of the things. Once you're on that pool, that you've already basically done a bid, and so the folks that are listed on there are the responsive low bidders for those components. And so you can go, and if you've got something specialized such as library shelving, it gives you a place to shop and to compare. It's interesting that we can find some. I think it's interesting we can find someone local. I think for that, I think is important that Spokane is someone of a local presence where we're not dealing with somebody back east. And where we're going through this purchasing cooperative, I'm far more comfortable going ahead and approving this purchase versus just like a sole source. If this is just a sole source contract that we had, I'd definitely want to hold quite a bit more backup information. But where we're going through a governmental purchasing cooperative already, a lot of that vetting process has been done. Councillor Daniels.
Is Space Saver the only company that's on the NJPA?
I'm not aware of anybody else as far as shelving.
As for shelving, they are the only one, but it actually covers quite a bit of different products and is used by governments, and like I said, other local governments in the area and in the state.
I know we've purchased other equipment, even a fire truck recently off of a joint powers agreement, so this isn't something out of the ordinary that we do, but it is a way of definitely having some savings. Councillor Kleber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just kind of a side note to that. My company and I ended up getting roped into running this program a little bit. There's an outfit called SyncumNet, and it's kind of a similar type of deal that they represent all sorts of government agencies. I get emails every day of the week that Jefferson Parish, Louisiana is looking for some, State of Hawaii is looking for some, Albuquerque, the state of Idaho is a big part of it. And I've bid some of these products that they've been looking for. And like you said, it's kind of one of these deals that it reduces the vetting to the end consumer, if you will. One that I lost out on by just that much was to the ISP. And people from all over the United States bid, but they weeded them out. Our bid was responsive, but it wasn't the low bid. This was quite a few years ago, but there's a reason for those outfits to exist, is because it makes purchasing a little bit easier. I do not disagree with Councillor Daniels. That would have been valuable information to see some comparative numbers on the amount of, whether it's dealing in lineal feet of shelving, a per unit cost with end caps and stuff like that. That would have been valuable information for us to have, and I wouldn't have so much heartburn over this. On the big scheme of things, is that a good deal? I don't know. We've got Pacific Cabinets down in Ferdinand. They make shelving for places all the way from here to Virginia Mason Hospital. They're all over the Northwest. So I'm having a tough time that there are very few outfits that are capable of doing this. But whether they wanted to or bid it, it's a different story. If it wasn't thrown out to bid and it was just done through this, then that's the way it goes. So,
if I can interject, shelving outfits, what Alexa is speaking of, are cantilever library shelving. The major difference in a welded frame compared to a bolted frame. So our product is quality. So when you're talking about other shelving vendors, typically it's not metal shelving, it's usually casework type stuff, like some of the stuff in the library now.
And we're utilizing both cantilever and casework shelving. So this is just that cantilever shelving portion that we're suggesting for purchase.
The casework is the outfit out of Salt Lake?
Yes.
That Wasatch
That was
Mill.
bid. That was through the bid, Interwest bid.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm. And again, the cantilever shelving, it lasts years. As I said, we still have Carnegie shelving, so you're talking about something that's over 100 years old. Some of it can still be used. Some of it, in the 70s developed weld issues. That stuff from the Carnegie Library is a tank, so it does last for 30 or 40 or 100 years.
Councillor Daniel.
Like I said, I would still just like to see the numbers. I'm not happy with the, I think it's 15 to 20%. I actually want to see what we're saving. I'm not doubting you. I just want to see the numbers before I vote on $100,000. I move that we table this until the March 3rd work session.
There's a motion to table this till the March 3rd work session. Is there a second?
For sake of discussion, I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to table this till March 2nd work session. Any
Mr.
discussion?
Mayor, actually, it's March 4th.
March 4th, okay.
I'm in my motion.
Amend your motion for March 4th, okay. Second agree?
Certainly.
Okay. Any discussion? Councillor Daniel.
Just for that simple comment, I just want to see the information. All I want to be able to do is to make an informed decision on $100,000. It's a lot of money for a pretty important issue to a lot of people in the city of Lewiston. This isn't just a simple purchase of a police car and everybody agrees on it. This is it's a pretty big issue. It's a lot of money. I don't think there's anything wrong with waiting 1 week, so we can at least look at the information. Like I said, I fully expect to come back and vote on this. I'm not trying to put this off so I can get it defeated or anything. I want to make an informed decision before I vote on this.
Mr. Mayor, I guess my position on this is that as the construction manager and as the planner, Alexa has done that kind of research, and I would like to trust that the decisions that we have made there are good ones, and $88,000 in shelving is not a large number. It's a fairly nominal number in the world of furniture. I don't think that 20% of that, we're not talking huge dollars necessarily, but there is some savings that is recognized here, and I would trust that she's researched that. I know that the consultant has worked with you. Has Ruth not worked with you on the furniture? And we've hired her to be a consultant there, and she knows these products well and has reviewed those with you, so it isn't necessarily something that has been done in a vacuum. There have been other people involved in the decision, so I'm not planning to vote to table this.
Mr. Mayor.
Pro Tem Cannon.
I'm not going to vote to table this either. It doesn't matter what the number of the savings is. The number to buy it is $88,750. So if they come back next week and say we saved $22,000, okay. If they come back next week and say we saved $10,000, okay. But it doesn't change the $88,775 we're going to spend for shelving. Nothing changes. The gentleman from Spokane came down here in good faith, and they've done their research. Alexa's done her research. I don't know why a cost-saving number is so important to what the $88,775 is what we're going to pay for this shelving. It's $24,000. Okay. Okay, let's vote it in. Well, we've just wasted a week of valuable time to this library to get it open and get that material built and get it here. So I guess I'm just really confused on why we need to know what the cost saving. They can tell us what the cost saving is next week. It's not going to change what that figure is. Not going to change it at all. Still going to be $88,775. So you tell us what it is next week at the work session, and we'll all be happy. But I'm moving this thing forward. There's no reason to stop, just to see what a cost saving number is.
Councillor Daniel.
Except for I'm not talking about the cost savings directly for his company. I'm talking about the overall cost savings versus another company. What if...
Here nor there, doesn't make
what
any
if
difference.
next week we find out that, oh, by the way, we actually spent more than what we should have than if we went with company B? That's the whole point of waiting to actually find out. Yes, I have absolute faith in our library director. You know, I trust her, but the citizens trust us to actually make informed decisions.
Absolutely.
And
The process for Alexis to go through this whole bid process, now, granted, I'm a vendor, you're talking to a vendor, but the process for her to go back through and get another vendor, whoever it may be, and figure out the panels that we've worked on, the black and steel that goes on those panels, are the frames welded, are they bolted? It's going to take more than a week for her to get that price, I can guarantee it. You know, she's already done her research and hasn't found anybody, but I'm just telling you that there's not the apples to apples process for this whole thing. It takes time, and that's why the NJPA contract was built. It was already bid competitively, and they got their bids, and we won that process. We won it in 2010 and 2012. So just a point.
I think that the comment, Councilor Ortman, I disagree that 88,000 is significant, and it is taxpayer money, and that's the concern that we need to.
It's not the largest amount of money that we have approved for this
structure.
structure.
Still taxpayer dollars. But that being said, I think that by going through the NJPA for that purchasing association, that we've done the proper level of vetting to make a recommendation. We did the same thing for a $400,000 fire truck here a while back. And so I think that, again, this is not something new to council, and that by going through this governmental purchasing cooperative, the low responsive bid has already been vetted and done, and I agree, Pro Tem Cannon, that the $88,775 is the number. So,
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
I don't think I'm trying to say that $88,775 is not a large number. But if we're talking about the savings on that of being 15%, you start looking at that in terms of a $4 million structure. It's not, I don't think it's worth holding that up for a week and knowing what we lose in the process, in the construction process. I think it's time to move forward with it. I'd be really surprised if we came back with something that said we weren't saving money.
That's
I think if you interpret it that way, that's
no. It's,
I wash every penny I spend twice, so I don't think that's.
Yeah, that government purchasing cooperative for me, Councilor.
If you don't believe that, ask my wife.
Yeah,
she'd tell you that.
Pro Tem Cannon.
And Mr. Mayor, again, to what the gentleman alluded to, you're going to have to go back and get the specs for this and then send it out again. We're not going to get a number next week. That number isn't going to happen. Going through Joy and getting that all done, it's just not going to happen in a week's period of time. They'll be on their desk for 2 weeks, just on somebody's desk. So, again, I agree with the mayor. I think we've gone through the process, and they've come back with the lowest possible cost through the JPA.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Randall.
What it sounds like to me is we need to have a work session and discuss the procedures set up for bidding out things, including having these large groups that buy, large amounts of materials, such as fire departments buying trucks or whatever like that. Maybe we need to relook on our policies and come up with a new policy. But I think that this kind of discussion should be done at a later date at a work session.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the purchase of.
Is it call for the question? Right now we have a motion on the table to table the motion till March 4th work session.
Sorry,
Councilor Daniel.
I want to move the motion off the table.
Yeah.
I think it's important to recognize, according to Dean, they are the only group that's in the NJPA. So it's not, at least that's how I understood your answer to that question. So it's not like they were vetted down out of a group of 10 and they are the most affordable. They just happen to be the only one. Is that how I understand?
That's not true.
I thought
my understanding that the NJPA contract was bid nationally, and three or whatever bid on it,
It's
and we were chosen.
bid, or we couldn't use them.
And on that same contract is our parent company, KI Furniture. So if the city wants furniture too, that's a whole nother process on another side. I mean, it's all available. So that was, I mean, library shelving just happened to fall under that umbrella.
Okay, so this particular bid, you won out, correct? This exact one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. To be part of that,
Okay.
you have to win. You have to go through a bidding and vetting process.
University of Idaho, Missoula County, just a couple examples that I've used personally on my territory had their city attorneys and their city council approve it and go through the same process. University of Idaho, I gave Joy their number up there. They checked it all out and make sure it was legit as well. So it got to the same process as you guys.
Okay. I withdraw my motion.
Okay. Motion's been withdrawn from the table to...
I move that we approve the purchase of the shelving at $88,775.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve library shelving purchase to Space Saver Northwest of Spokane, Washington for $88,775. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Motion carries 6-1. Thank you. That's the end of our active agenda. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session regarding personnel and litigation for Idaho Code Section 67-23451B and F.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we go into executive session in reference to personnel and litigation according to Idaho Code Section 67-2345, Section 1B and F.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to go into executive session regarding personnel and litigation per Idaho Code Section 67-2345, Section 1, subsection B and F. And we'll also, there will be no decision afterwards. We'll just adjourn immediately after the executive session. So with that, any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. We'll take a short 5-minute break and then we'll convene for the executive session. Thank you, everyone.